with similar subject matter, then he would say I violated the rules of national security. I know exactly what he's up to, and that is why I will continue to do my job, which is Leader of the Opposition, to hold him accountable. I will not be silenced. This is Canada, and in Canada we have the freedom of expression. Thank you.
Questions and comments?
They put on a big show in here. We've already passed a motion like this, by the way. The government didn't do anything because the NDP kept them in power. And back in committee, they do exactly the same thing. They speak, they go to hold press conferences and act all tough. Back in committee, all they do is give all the procedural support necessary for the Prime Minister to cover it up again and again and again. What the hell was he thinking?
They just shrugged and said, "Oh, it's just inflation."
Well,
misrepresenting the inflation crisis.
the Conservatives have been on this inquiry. Now the NDP Liberal coalition, it looks to be breaking up, or it's on the edge. You can hear it in the tone of their voice of the NDP. They're not so empathetic sounding now. They sound more like the Conservatives, like a natural opposition. So I have a feeling that this inquiry is splitting the divide.
Will the Prime Minister have the statesmanship and dignity to ensure that that happens and to ensure that a public inquiry is held? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, what's interesting here is to see that the leader of the Bloc Québécois, who is so concerned about facts and legitimacy, what's interesting is that he is refusing to be briefed on the secret and confidential information that CSIS has accumulated on this. He is also refusing to accept the facts, to accept reality, in order to be able to continue with his partisan attacks. The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
Well, the Bloc leader, they're all over this. They say, we want an inquiry. Basically, the same path as Poilievre, saying, hey, we don't want the briefings. He called it a dumb trap. Check this.
The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
This Liberal government's approach to foreign interference has been a failure. The Prime Minister decided to bring in a Special Rapporteur, which was a mistake. He should have launched a public inquiry. Now the appearance of bias is so strong that the Special Rapporteur can no longer continue to do his work. So will the Prime Minister do the right thing and remove the Special Rapporteur from his position and restore Canadians' confidence in our electoral system?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, David Johnston is an eminent Canadian who has served this government and this country for decades. The reality is he was appointed a number of times by former Prime Minister Stephen Harper to important responsibilities, including to be Governor General of this country. And he has undertaken this responsibility and this task of looking at foreign interference and reporting back to Canadians with the seriousness with which one would expect of him. It is unfortunate that the opposition parties are choosing to play politics around this issue instead of actually standing up for the Honourable Member.
Now, in question period, it wasn't just Jagmeet Singh, it was MP Blaney and also Jenny Kwan on this exact same thing. So it's like the triple entente. I honestly believe that the coalition, it's on its way out because of this inquiry. Well, this is here it carries on. It just
the Prime Minister knows that the appearance of bias is so strong in this case that Mr. Johnston cannot continue to do his work to restore confidence in the system. Notre motion demande.
Our motion asks for the Prime Minister to remove Mr. Johnston from his position. It is entirely clear that these allegations of foreign interference are serious. Will the Prime Minister finally take them seriously and launch a public inquiry now? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, since 2015, we have taken these allegations of interference seriously. That is why we have instituted a number of mechanisms to fight foreign interference. And that is why we are counting on experts like Mr. Johnston and Mr. Rosenberg. That's what we're doing, and we are producing recommendations moving forward. We are taking this seriously, and we will continue to do so. We will continue to follow the facts and the intelligence. The intelligence that is gathered.
A reset of where we're at. There has been a concern over on the opposition side that there is some sort of a cover-up or some hiding in documents that, in redacted documents that have been submitted. And then on our
get a seat at the table, take a briefing so that we can fight foreign interference together.
Before going to the next question, I just want to remind the honourable member for Leeds Grenville, Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes that he has a very strong voice and it carries very well. So if he's speaking to anyone, I'm sure he's only talking to the people around him. Maybe just whisper to the best of his ability. The honourable member for Vancouver East.
Foreign interference is real. It is happening here in Canada, and this Prime Minister has failed to address it. By refusing to implement an independent public inquiry into foreign interference, the Liberals are hurting people and our democracy. Their appointed rapporteur, David Johnston, does not have the confidence of this House. He must go. The Prime Minister needs to listen and do the right thing. Will he remove David Johnston and immediately launch an independent public inquiry?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I share my colleagues' concerns about the threats that are posed by foreign interference, which is why this government has been acting concretely by introducing new powers for the national security establishment, by creating new mechanisms of transparency. Most recently, I signed off on a ministerial directive to ensure that I'm getting briefed, the Prime Minister is getting briefed, and we now have a public hearings process which we
Kanada, nekada simbol modernog svijeta, je pod vodstvom vaše kvazi-liberalne čizme Dragi građani, premijeru Trudeau. Sloboda, pravo izbora, pravo na život i zdravlje, pravo na rad za mnoge od nas, to su temeljna ljudska prava za koje su milioni građana Europe i svijeta položili svoje živote. Za obranu naših prava i prava naše djece, koje smo stjecali stoljećima, mnogi od nas, uključujući i mene, spremni smo riskirati vlastitu slobodu i položiti
Mr. Speaker.
Danas su među nama i oni koji
we will continue to be active, strong participants in international fora around health, while always respecting and protecting Canada's sovereignty and choices to make the right decisions for its own citizens.
I see someone standing, but Wellington Halton Hills took the first question. The second one, so the next one in the sequence is Calgary Skyview. Well, we're changing the table in the sequence.
Speaker.
There was only two in the second. Sequence is two conservatives. We had Wellington Halton Hills, and then we had Norfolk Halton. No, on this it's only two. Let's go. There's a protest. I want to make sure everybody's heard correctly here. The honourable member for Halton and Norfolk.